Welcome back. This is the newspaper review segment of the BDTV Breakfast Show, where we explore top headlines on the front page of our dailies. I am Bethel Olujabi, and today, joining me in the studio for this review is our in-house analyst, Mohammed Akonji. Good to have you, Mohammed.
Good morning, Bethel.
How are you feeling today?
Oh, very well.
Wonderful.
And how are you doing too?
Good. How's your week been?
Very well. It's been moving on fine. And
how have you been dealing with the heat?
I mean, that's another very vital.
You notice I'm trying to avoid any dark,
oh my God,
dark colors.
The heat. In fact, NIMET have to be able to release weather warning yesterday.
Oh yes.
It was likely going to be able to happen for the next 4 days. It was Sunday. I think I felt it the most. I was here with Liz, and in fact, I was telling her that and this is a fasting period as well. So last Sunday was quite enervating for me because of the weather. Everywhere was so hot. So hot. Oh my God.
And then coupled with the
with the fasting as well.
Yes.
So maybe because at least I was actually jumping from one place to the other over the weekend, that last weekend. So that was when I knew, that was when I could feel the heat. I feel that scorching heat on Sunday. And I know people have actually been talking about it, in the last 3 days. That's really been
unusual. And thankfully,
people are really managing it.
Good of you to jump in the studio here with us.
Thank you very much for
let's just get right into the discussion. So starting with the Business Day paper, right? We have 4 stories on the front page today. Start from the bottom. The bottom story says Dangote refinery eyes higher crude imports from Angola, Algeria, right? And Wike backed for Barra's impeachment as reverse crisis worsens. That's a really trending story right now.
Of course.
Now, let's look at the top story here. The top story on the front page says foreign rice floods markets as costs squeeze local mills. Import from Thailand jumps 60-fold in 1 year. Over 50 small-scale millers shut down in 2024. Wow.
That's it.
A very interesting
development
topic.
And very interesting
right
topic.
There. Also unfortunate.
Foreign rice again coming to the limelight.
Right. I mean, if you go to 90% of households now, foreign rice. And then a lot of households are
saying that.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the issue right now, quality is
very
question.
Vital. Okay.
Quality comes into the question.
Okay.
Right. Can we compete? Are we competing?
Okay.
What do you think?
Two things I thought about, and let me just be able to react to that before I react fully to the story, was that there are concerns and there are issues around rebagging. That most of the rice that we would see and claim that they are foreign rice are locally made rice. They just bag them with foreign bags, with foreign names, because that is what Nigerians want to buy. The import craziness or the import demand of Nigerians, the way Nigerians have actually been able to go so immersed themselves or so involved in importation, tend to be able to be cloud or blind them from actually be able to see anything that is local. So concerns out there, and in fact, I was saying, or maybe in my office, about the rice I bought over the weekend, and then they bag it with a foreign bag. The bag was bagged.
But inside the rice, inside the bag was local rice.
Yes.
Wow.
So I think that's another thing. That's an experience I had, and then when I actually raised that in gathering of people, household as well, people say, "Oh, that's what people are doing now," because they know that the trending thing, what people want to buy.
So the appeal for foreign rice is high.
It's very, very high.
Locals
so that import appeal are now beginning to be able to, put 1 or 2 things together to be able to put that out there. Because the concern there, the Rice Millers Association, going back to that, is because remember the government of Muhammadu Buhari, the last administration, even the central bank pumped in trillions of naira into a particular program there, the Anchor Borrowers program, that was actually targeted at rice production in Nigeria. And if you look at the feasibility study that was done before the commencement of that intervention, then we'll say that the purest of rice that you see, or the best of rice, the quality of rice that you see actually come from Vietnam and Thailand then. And the CBN governor, because I remember I heard him very, very well saying that rice that we also plant in this nation can be able to rival those, especially the one from Anambra and Ebonyi. He mentioned those particularly. And that if we can be able to invest in our agricultural sector, especially rice production, we could be able to compete and rival with them. And that was what, necessitated those days about shutting of the borders. We're not allowing rice to be able to come in from abroad. That was actually what informed that. Even though analysts, industry watchers complained that, okay, this should have been the job of the Ministry of Agriculture. Why would the central bank take that up? And today, where is the ABP today? Where is the Anchor program today that's been suspended? But the question we're not asking us, those gains there, at the time, we're trying to be able to look at the tons of rice that we have been able to get. There was a time, if you remember very well, 3 years ago, President Muhammadu Buhari, in fact, had a paddy rice in Abuja, a very big paddy, to say, this is the rice that actually been planted and been harvested by Nigerians. You saw those very big paddy then. Oh, yes. This rice actually going to the millers, mills. You have that very long pyramid, rice pyramid that was very quite huge then. These will go to the milling, everywhere then. Now, then, these are just been harvested. They will go to the mill factories so they can be able to sort out, the peculiar things about Nigerian rice, the stones and the things there, and then it will hit the market. That today, I don't think we'll actually be able to see the reality of that. That happens. But experts and analysts have actually said that there were gains from that particular policy, Anchor's Bogas program. We recorded substantial gain from that. But that appears to have been reversed as a result of import appeal that you mentioned. And what doesn't always be able to help matter at the same time is, maybe I can be able to call that the sheer greed of Nigerian manufacturers themselves, Nigerian rice millers themselves, who at a time, were trying to be able to rival imported rices, foreign rices, but actually charging the same price as them. Because, so most of them will say, okay, how much does the foreign rice go for? Oh, it is this amount of, okay, fine, it is 75,000 naira. And they too wanted to be able to sell the local grown rice at that same price. So I think that affected buying, the purchasing power, the purchasing drive of Nigerians as a result of that. So people are looking at, okay, what's the difference? If foreign rice is exactly the same as this, and then there is already a mindset.
Yeah, there's an orientation that foreign rice
are better, they have better quality. Yes. Good. But
so, in addition to what you're saying, now this story says that experts are saying that they have this they have the argument that in as much as yes, the appeal is higher among locals, there's Nigeria's borders are porous,
allowing some of this to even come in. I think that's how now going.
So we have rice being smuggled in.
That's 60 metric. Can be able to use that.
Exactly.
60 folds.
Yes.
If you be able to look at the story, you see the trend. You see the chart that was actually be able to indicate of what happened in the last 3 years and the way it has jumped in 2024, the way it spiked in 2024. Would
you agree that? Would you say that porous borders is one?
No, very important factor.
What's happening at the borders?
Oh, of course. There are investigative journalists or reporters who have gone there and have seen how custom officers have actually been able to collect, take kickbacks from most of these smugglers, allow smugglers to be able to even bring in rice at will. In fact, there was one of them that actually spoke to that said, to be able to smuggle him between the hours of 12 a.m. and 3 a.m., 12 a.m. and 3 a.m., they just opened the borders from Benin, from Togo, to allow rice people to come into this country. And then maybe, you can say for that 3 hours, you just pay 5 million naira. So by 3 a.m., they shut it down again. Whatever you can be able to bring in. And then they do that. Some of them always be able to have that. In fact, she said there is a way you tend to be able to repackage most of these cars, You tend to be able to jack it up. They can be able to lose. They can load as many. The more you can load, those smugglers are actually, they will help them to be able to smuggle it in cahoot with the custom officers who help them to do that. So it is really, really a very brisk business that's actually going on at the border in that regard, and especially from Thailand, because by the time the last one that the same custom did, so these are contraband products that have been seized. They went to market, they boggled those shops and bring out some of those rice and said, okay, this is actually imported rice. These are imported rice into the country.
Illegally
imported into the country. Smuggled into the country. Into the country, as the case may be. They were making reference to the fact that this rice that were actually coming in, so this rice that were actually coming in cannot be able to stand. We're talking about it, how from Benin Republic, from Togo, those particular two,
yes,
how people connived with their staff, the staff at custom at the NCS, to allow some of these particular products to come in. So they boggled those shops, and they were asking them. One of them was asking them, why were you able to bring back these into the nation? So one of them, that's what I'm now saying, few of those bags that they brought in here, they were asking them that day to say, okay, but this particular rice here, this quality of rice here was actually produced locally. Why are you even bagging them? Because some of them actually be able to mix them together, the local ones and then the foreign ones. But the question there would be, Thailand have been doing everything possible since the last border closure that we did in 2021 to see, because especially Thailand and Vietnam, maybe Vietnam has actually been able to pipe down a little bit, but we still see a lot of Thailand rice go to markets in the foodstuff markets, where customs have actually gone to boggle those shops and bring out some of the imported rice to see and look at that trend. We're able to look at, okay, the increase that we've seen in the last 1 year as to rice that have actually been imported. But the question there is, the rice millers, what has also helped matters as well is that most of the rice millers, most of the milling factories that have been opened on the back of the ABP have closed down. I think you read that here.
Up to 50 of them.
50 of them, and that is quite huge.
So I would ask you, there's a trend in terms of small manufacturers, right?
Rice millers.
Yeah, exactly. Rice millers. Exactly. There's this quest for survival that doesn't seem to go through. Why is that?
Okay,
really?
So maybe the current economic reality itself.
Because yes, obviously,
cost of production, and maybe the import appeal. So the import appeal plays a very important factor. Nigerians with some of our Western-centric orientation that Nigerians have to say, oh, whatever is actually from local here cannot be good. Whatever is coming from out there would actually be the best. So that played a part, very important part. So, and that's why even some of, as I said, some of them have to be able to disguise, to say even what they are doing. They are not even so confident enough to come out and say, this is actually a local rice. So the import appeal play a factor, cost of production as well played a very important factor. Yes, there were a lot of incentives that we tried to be able to give to those small millers to ensure that they're able to get that. But that played a very important part in what we are seeing right now. And that's why I said, if you look at the trend in terms of foreign rice coming into the nation, the way it jumped in 2024 is a cause of concern. Very important cause of concern. I mean, we've seen a little bit
obviously in a country where we are trying to maintain our surplus, our trade surplus. We want more local production for export rather than import, and this is not good. This is not a good uptick for us at the moment.
But as I said, the important factor there is the import appeal plays an important role among Nigerians. Who were those that demand itself is what is pushing it. They will always be able to say, oh, give me that foreign rice regardless of the price. Maybe for status, maybe to be able to brag in the midst of the friends to say that, no, I don't eat local rice, or I only eat foreign rice, and then things like that.
So what are you thinking? Bring back APB, or how do we bring? How can we become
the APB? Because if you look at the success rate of the APB, it was even less than 50%. So there are a lot. There are a lot of undercurrent. There are a lot of unsavory things that happened with the ABP. People took the fund, for example, took the loan, diverted it. Only very few of those who accessed the loan were able to use it for the purpose for which it is actually
that is another issue.
That's another thing there about that. That's so we cannot, because it has not been fully successful in itself. So and
a lot of money went into it, so it seemed wise.
Trillions of naira actually be able to went into that. So I think it's a very, very important thing that we need to be able to look into. The other thing there was the story yesterday of Mr. Wiki and Mr. Fubara. A little bit of politics.
We'll come to that. Okay. I know it's a very. We'll come to that. Just very quickly, let's look at that.
Okay, I think Dangote too was another thing. Well, so we look at that Dangote story as well.
One thing I see is that Dangote refineries. It has come as a silver lining to many, right? In terms of local production of our own crude, and of course, you can see the price war that is happening right now. Nobody wants to sell.
But so if you don't look at this better, so what if was a fallout of what NNPC released on Tuesday to say the naira for crude will end by end of this month? So
what happens now?
The question, that's what I'm saying. So is he in Algeria now, Angola to be able to get import?
So I mean, again, it comes back to our trade. We just talked about importing
rice now.
Now we're talking about importing crude
again.
When we have crude in the country.
So
what is going on?
Because that is a businessman, first of all, remember, and then you need to be able to look out for yourself and see, okay, if this venture closed today, I need to be able to look for alternatives. Angola, Algeria were the second and the third largest oil producers in the countries. I mean, and nations in Africa. In OPEC, exactly, in Africa, and they're also members of OPEC as well.
Yes.
So they also have quite a large reserve, of oil that can be made available. And I'm sure this is just like an alternative. If at the end of the day, the new arrangement that is being sorted out with NNPC is not able to see the light of the day, could not be able to get that, I'm sure it's just be able to consider this as an alternative, which is expected, as I'm saying.
So what is
very
the
important
end goal here?
So
why
so I was telling Liz there that day,
of
course. So the question here is, at the time NNPC appears to really be a bit jealous of, that's my own view anyway, of Dangote, because they've actually seen that he's actually be able to take the shine of them. And that's why, because a lot of people, when the Naira for Coup started in October, nobody ever expected. I never have read it anywhere that says it's a 6-month arrangement until now, when it came on board, to say, oh, it's a 6-month plan and they cannot be able to continue. But the end goal here is, that's what I'm saying, is NNPC trying to be able to play a particular game that we don't know about. Perhaps that would be very, very important for us to be able to look at. But we cannot be able to fault Mr. Dangote, because if you look at what he said there, was just like they are hiring, crude from already by now. Don't forget, 50% of people they are crude, they get them, they are imported from you. Imported some of them already at the moment. It was because of the Naira crude that tend to be able to pay a little bit to that. But if it stops suddenly, you definitely have to be able to look out for.
Obviously, so someone like Dangote, you rightly said, is a businessman.
So we needed to
looking out.
There is a need for the business to continue. It's an ongoing concern. So for the business to continue, there is a feedstock that is needed for his.
And he says, okay, no problem.
If you are going to be able to stop this,
and this is just unfortunate. This comes in a time when we're celebrating export of refined
products.
Finally. We can actually
say that we are
exporting, and we can still export. And now,
but if this stops
all this is coming off.
But I'm sure the government will definitely not be able to take it, pipe it down.
Well,
the regulators have to look into it and see how to broker peace between them. I'm
very, very important.
Yes.
Right. So coming to the Vanguard, right? Because of the time we have, the Vanguard. We have many stories on the Vanguard page today, but I'll quickly read through them, see how many I can take. Insecurity. Again, Senate summoned security chiefs. Topic of insecurity again. 18 months after recall, federal government vetting candidates for ambassadorial posts. Death row inmates rise by 98 in 6 months. Prison acting Controller General. Speaker Tosu, let's Obasa be. Tinubu tells Lagos lawmakers. And the one story.
Can you see the picture? Yeah, that's the picture story. These are the lawmakers now. They were with the president yesterday.
True.
All of them were there.
Yes.
And he chanting. I don't know if you saw it, chanting on your mandates we shall stand. I mean, after the meeting, it shows that what God has done to them anyway. But you can see them there. I don't know if I should say it. It's very... I mean, they were the one chanting it. What I'm saying is, if you listen to them 2 weeks ago, when it appears that Obasa was forced on them again, you see how emotional some of them were, as if this was actually not what they wanted. And if you look at the timeline of what happened yesterday when they visited the Aso Rock, and when they came out, when they had this photo shoot, and the way they are chanting when they were coming out to say, they were the ones saying that, telling Tinubu that, okay, or your mandate we shall stand. And even like, okay, what has really happened? 2 weeks ago, all of you were saying, oh, as if this is not our way. Only God knows. I mean, it was behind closed doors.
That's the question.
We don't know.
Everybody's asking.
Of course.
Well, the main story, which has been on the lips of many, is Rivers. Heavens won't fall if Fubara is impeached. Blast, that's Wiki now. Blast the governor, he says, is insincere, playing to the gallery. It tags Pandef as the worst organization to rely on. It notes Fubara's letter to Rivers Assembly as useless, insincere. It says Fubara demolished Assembly complex and cannot visit uninvited. 27 lawmakers barred Fubara from entering the Assembly to present 2025 budget, alleging improper communication. And Fubara himself says he's ready to represent the budget.
yesterday, I think I was in the office when I listened to that press conference. You know, that's
with Wike,
which I called yesterday. Yeah. And the man is just loose cannon. The way he just, you know, you see him is, I don't know, you saw it. God was just spewing and just spraying on and on and on. And in fact, attacking the journalists themselves who were there. I said, I brought you guys here, you know that. You know, I brought you here, I know what I'm saying. And then the way he was actually attacking, right from, you know, firing shots here and there at PDP members, at even calling judges by their first name. And that was where he made one of these very powerful speeches that heaven will not fall. Because people were saying, the Jaws, where Fubara came from, are threatening that if he's impeached, they're going to blow up the pipelines, the militants. They'll start blowing up. And that's why he mentioned the word that, why are you monopolizing? Why are you getting powers to where powers are not? Who told you that other tribes, you know, other tribes,
that the Ogonis
cannot also be able to blow up can also be able to blow up the pipelines. Why you think it's only them that can be able to do that? And that heaven will not fall. If he has committed an act of infraction, then he can be impeached. And he went, you know, on that spree there. But the way it is now, but of course, that was actually before, that was after the governor yesterday visited the complex in Port Harcourt yesterday, and it was shut out, just like you read.
Yeah, arrived in.
So they said
the video was really embarrassing.
Was really embarrassing.
For someone of that.
So but they released their own statement as well. The 27 lawmakers to say, okay, there was no notice, proper notice to them. You know, the back and forth have actually been on, and maybe they are gravitating towards impeaching him, perhaps, and that will, because the president needed the oil in that field. Remember Ogoni, but he called them to meet up the 2.1 million barrels that we targeted this year. That part, that Ogoni land, that oil there, will play a very important role. And that's why the president is trying to be able to broker the peace. Both of them were there with him on Tuesday. In fact, they broke the fast together. Fubara was there, Wike was there. No, they didn't speak to each other while they were there. But the question there is, with the way it is going, if the man is eventually impeached, we don't know what might likely be able to happen. But with the way these people have actually been able to, you know, sharpen their arsenal, they are looking like hell bent on actually impeaching Fubara.
Fubara has faced many battles.
A lot of battles.
A lot of
battles. But you know, it's just like yesterday. Don't forget, he is just the Accountant General of the state under Wike. Wike brought the same person here. You know, that's where politics is. This is the ephemeral nature of politics,
and that is really a huge problem.
I don't understand
because you come in as the leader, and then you still have strings. Right.
They just wanted people to come. Maybe a governor of a third term. Third term, like a de jure governor of some ward. Because it felt like someone can control.
Fubara shoes, would you even want to come back?
That's what I'm saying. With the way it is now. So you know it to be marveled. That's a very good point to raise there, better. So you say, let's say 2026 now. Will you even be able to go for second term? Because we can't battle right from the first day. It is unimaginable.
Remember when El-Rufai was on Arise and he was saying he was on TV and he was saying that he has peace of mind now. This is not in political power.
And then, oh my God! I mean, it is
a very
really huge,
interesting conversation
every now and then.
Our final paper of the Punch. Top story says Lagos Calabar Highway projects wasteful, corrupt. Says former President Obasanjo. Says that Tinubu ignored protests against 15 trillion naira coastal highway project. Fault 21 billion spent on VP's residence.
Okay. So I think it was okay. Maybe just talk about that. So he just launched a new book yesterday. You know, Baba.
Nigeria past
and present. Exactly. And that was where some sections, some pages in the papers reference were made to the Lagos Calabar. Remember, 2023, when the Minister of Works, David Umahi, announced how much per kilometer is about 4 billion naira, 4.97 billion
per kilometer.
So per kilometer of that road,
running from Lagos Atlantic
to Calabar, and then terminating at that point. So a lot of people have faulted it, but he has said what they wanted to be able to use there. Under the arrangement they are talking about, you know, the ERP model, the model the ministry is actually trying to be able to work on that, and the use of concrete road. I think we spoke about that yesterday. It may actually look costly at the first phase, but in the long run, compared to asphalt road, if it's actually built on asphalt, because I'm talking about the minister now, Minister of Works, provide justification side by side, you know, between doing the asphalt road on that lane and doing what's it called, the concrete road. And so because of the concrete road that actually spike up the amounts to that rate, but that it will be in the benefit of Nigeria in the long run. If you look at the cost-benefit analysis of that in the immediate term, in the immediate short time, it can be cheap, it can be costly if you be able to build that road at that cost. But if in the long term, because of the cost of maintenance of asphalt road will always be very, very high relative to maintaining concrete road, where the road is actually designed for. And that was actually what informed the initial escalated cost. I mean, the initial high cost of executing that particular project.
So I think the former president's argument is even, okay, you want to spend 15 trillion naira on
the highway,
coastal highway, but you took 21 billion naira
for the VP residence.
To get a residence, not
no,
for the vice president
and the residence was because sometimes at the time the Wike was actually the one that actually did that as Minister of FCT, and they were saying this project actually started during Jonathan's administration and the VP has been there. They just completed it, and that the cost of production has increased in folds, over that period. Maybe that was, but if you list, I have not read the book anyway, but I just be able to look at the quote, the section that was actually picked out by the Punch correspondent, by the Punch reporter, about how the president vehemently vilified, lampooned the spending of those amounts, especially on that VP's residence. And he was trying to be able to compare it to what happened during his administration. But the cost of production then, the cost then cannot actually be compared. Inflation level cannot be compared to the way it was then compared to the way it is actually now.
Well, unfortunately, the time we have is up. But lastly, we'll just look at the cartoon of the day on the BusinessDay paper. What we see here is El-Rufai on a horse that says SDP.
Don't worry.
Someone says, obviously, an APC, someone like a member of the APC party holding a broom there, says, don't worry, a bird that flies off the earth and lands on an ant hill is still on the ground. So,
oh my God. What can we call
stirred some waters when he announced that
he's defecting. He's
defecting from a party he helped found to
a new party. And I can tell you, that is not the final goal. That's not the final point. He's still perhaps people are still saying
there are two ways it can go. He can, that's where I see it.
Okay.
SDP is just the first step in this plan.
In that plan, exactly. To decide
where is with APC. So it's either he moves from SDP, which is allowed to,
of course,
or he tries to merge
SDP with other parties,
like he did with the APC.
Exactly.
So he's trying to see it as I have done it before.
Of course, I can do it again. Exactly.
That's how I see it.
And that's exactly the way I see it. I totally agree with you. So because will he be able to contest for president? I think the jury is still out there on that. But maybe it is just that coalition that he's looking out for again. Another powerful force. So who are those that will be brought into the board? Will it be PDP as well?
Maybe an NPP.
Will it be Labour Party or an NPP? So that could be another powerful force that can now rival. I'm sure in days ahead we'll be able to see that. But the proverb there was actually very, very remarkable. That it is still the same thing. A bird that flies off of the ground, right? And lands on an anthill. Even though it's still on the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was wonderful to have you here.
And thank you very much for having me.
Mohammed. Unfortunately, time is not on our side. Well, this is all we can take for today. Up next is the big story. Don't go anywhere. I am Bethel Jabi. We'll be right back after this.